Hey YouTube, Alex here, and in today's video I wanted to discuss the 5 reasons that you should pursue financial independence before making long-term commitments overseas. Number 1 reason here is if you're financially independent, you won't have to go back home. For those who have been to Thailand, most visitors call Suvarnabhumi Airport the happiest place on earth upon arrival, and they call it the saddest place on earth upon exit. It's so sad, in fact, they've had to put up some nets. You can imagine what those nets are for, but needless to say, most people see the escalator to international departures as being one of the saddest places on earth, and I can agree with that. I've had that sight several times. It doesn't seem to get better with time. It seems to get more depressing to think about each time I have to go to that terminal via that escalator. I would like to be in that position one day where I don't have to go back home because I'm out of money or running low on money, but because I miss my friends back home. The former reason is a sad reason to go home. The latter is a much happier reason to go home. If you're going back home to make more money, it's an indefinite thing. You have no idea how long you're going to be back home. Whereas if you're going back to visit friends, you could probably say, I'm going to go back for 2 weeks, or I'm going to go back for 3 weeks. I'm going to go back for a month. It's a finite amount of time. Number 2, if you're financially independent, you can actually start a LTR, a long-term relationship overseas. You can let them know, hey, I'm going to be able to afford to stay here for an indeterminate amount of time. It's a bit disingenuous to go with money to stay for, say, 6 months and, oh yeah, I'm going to live here forever. You have a child or start a family somewhere in there, and now you're having to go back home. They're having to stay. It, I think, adds a lot of stress to the equation. I'm personally waiting to get into a serious relationship until I know I'm not going to have to go back home, until I know that I'm not going to have to leave, go back home, find a job, and basically have an LDR for an extended period of time. This isn't to say nobody should do an LDR or nobody should go unless they can afford to live there long term, but rather I think it's hard on relationships and it's hard on people to have this uncertainty that comes with needing to go back home and make money. There were numerous flings I've had in my trips to Southeast Asia over the years, and it's always kind of a sad thing when you got to go back because you don't know when you're going to see them again. You can't commit to them some time frame. Like, I'm going to go home, for most people anyway that are career oriented, you're not going to be able to go get a good tech job for like 3 months or 6 months. They're going to want like a year or 2 out of you at least. Additionally, I've found that when it comes to LDRs, typically one person always cares more than the other. In my case, I think I've been the person that unfortunately cared a bit less. It's just really hard on the people, and I think some of this stuff, thinking short term, I've got enough funds for a month, that's enough time to get a girlfriend, then they're not really thinking about that other person's feelings or perceptions. Sorry, Cap. You can sign a 1-year lease. You're not going to be bouncing from Airbnb or hotel to Airbnb or hotel. You can pick an area to settle down in. If you know you have that money coming in, you'll be able to say, yes, I can't afford $300 a month for a year, or I can't afford $400 a month for a year. Maybe more. Not sure what your fire number is. If you're not worried about having to go home early, then you have a little bit more confidence that you'll get your deposit back. By no means is it a guarantee, depending on local rules, laws, regulations, etc. If you know that you'll be there for a year, you can count on being able to pay your bills there for a year, you can rest assured that it'll be easier to get that money back. If you're having to bounce around a lot and you're having to pay higher rates per night, you're having to spend time checking in, checking out. For me, the first time I check in overseas, not so bad. By the 10th or 15th or 20th time, it can get a little bit old. I even feel that way on my trips to Bangkok, where I'm like, okay, gotta leave my nice, cozy, comfortable condo, be prepared to go through the check-in process, hand over my passport, sign some papers, and do that kind of thing. Alongside that, there are some things that are cheaper if you're oriented toward the long term. I know for me, when I'm running around, traveling from location to location, I have to buy bottled water by the unit, where if I'm in a condo building, I know that it's more likely that I'll be able to buy water a case at a time. At some places, there's refill companies that can help you with that. There's a lot of things that you can have at better pricing. I know laundry detergent is another one. When I'm running around, I've got to buy single-use laundry detergent because the larger sizes don't fit through airport security. But if I'm in one place long term, I can buy those larger sizes of laundry detergent. I can buy those larger containers, I can buy those water refills, all these things that may not seem like a lot, but they can really add up over the long term. Number 4, you may qualify for certain types of visas. There are certain types of visas that require you to have a certain amount of money in the bank or a certain amount of monthly income. I'm by no means a visa or legal expert, but if you are financially independent, some of these options open up for you. I think they're a little bit more important for people of retirement age, because I typically seem to see this a lot with retirement visas where they're comfortable with you retiring in their country. They want to know you can pay your bills in perpetuity in their country. For the specifics of retirement visas, I recommend you reach out to local attorneys and send them an email, ask them questions. They'll be able to better assist you on that one. The 5th and final reason is that you can be financially worry-free. You're not going to be sitting there wondering when your dream life is going to come to an end. You're not going to be sitting there wondering how you're going to go back home. You know, the only reason I'm going back home is because I want to go back home, not because I have to go back home for financial reasons. We all, as humans, like a certain degree of uncertainty. I think that's why we come to the developing world to travel. It's a lot more spontaneous and exciting feeling. But on the other hand, we also like some degree of certainty. And too much of one and not enough of the other, it can cause the expats a lot of unhappiness. This has been just a quick video, 5 reasons as to why you should pursue financial independence before making long-term commitments overseas. Doing it this way will give you more freedom and allow for you to have better relationships, more happiness, a more enjoyable expat experience. The 6th and bonus reason that we have for you here is that you may not have to go back home at an inopportune time. There are certain times in our home countries that are better than others. One thing that's come up a lot of people have been warning me about the upcoming election back in the United States. They've been telling me, hey, if so-and-so wins, it's going to be utter chaos and really bad. If the other guy wins, it's going to be chaos and really, really bad. I'm not really concerned about who wins or loses. I don't really care about the competition aspect. If it does cause strain on the system or different kinds of incidents, if it causes instability back in the US, probably not going to be a great time having to deal with that. Deal with potentially people demonstrating or people doing things that people tend to do when the US is unstable. It's not really stuff I want to be around. If I were financially independent, then I would not come back until well into 2025 after things have been settled. That's something to think about there, is if you are financially free, you don't have to go back home during inopportune times. So I hope this video has been helpful. Let me know what you think down below. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.